Hey friends, it's Ruben with Hi-Fi MIDI. Thanks for joining me for another live stream. I am super excited about this review and demo. Um, as you're probably aware, if you watched a couple of videos back, if you watched my live stream a couple of videos back, I mentioned that I had upgraded from Complete Ultimate 11 to Complete Ultimate 12. I had been on the fence about doing that because of the cost. I think it was about $400 to upgrade, and I thought, well, I really have everything I need so far, but I was having some issues with Contact 5. It took like a minute to load the plugin in the standalone version and within Cubase and Logic, and that was pretty frustrating. So I thought maybe I need to update to Contact 6. Well, they had a sale. Native Instruments had a sale in June, and it ended on June 30th. And I decided to upgrade on June 30th because the price was 50% off. Excuse me. And in the last video, I was having issues downloading, and I finally figured it out. I finally figured out why it wouldn't allow me to download some of the libraries. It was because I had Contact 5 installed, and I needed to delete that since I had already downloaded Contact 6. It's kind of complicated, but anyway, I downloaded Session Strings Pro 2, and I am blown away by it. I just want to get that out there. I love this plugin. Back in 2004, when I was taking a music technology class, I discovered sample libraries, and the company that the first sample library I used was from Vienna Symphonic Library, and it was their stringed instruments, their violins. I'm not kidding you. I'm a musician, so I am an emotional guy sometimes, but I teared up whenever I played the violin on keyboard, and it sounded so real because it was a real violin. Hey, thanks for joining me. I haven't felt that way in a long time, and I feel this way about this plugin, Session Strings Pro 2. Now, I have to give a disclaimer. I have Session Strings Pro and Session Strings regular, and I like the sound quality, but I didn't like the playability. I didn't really care for the features. I've heard better libraries, but they really stepped it up with this one. So I'm going to play some of it for you, and I'm going to go through all the features. So let me get rid of my face and then open the window. So on the left side, you have your different sections, basses, cello, ensemble, violas, and violins. Then you have your, it separates them by modern and traditional. All that is just the panning is different. So you have, in your modern, you have it more geared toward like cinematic panning. So you have, it's evenly dispersed, I would say. So you have your basses in the middle, and then your higher voices on the sides. Whereas traditional, it's going to be more toward how the conductor hears it, where you have your violins to the left, and then violas toward the center, and then basses and cello to the right. I have the ensemble, which is all four of them, all four sections loaded. Now, there's different modes. Which means there's different ways of getting sounds. There's key switching. There's velocity switching, which means that you can layer two sounds. Sustain. Actually, you have a list of different articulations, and on the right side you have the same list, but it's going to be divided by velocity. I don't really like using this. It's very limited. I prefer key switching, so that I'm going to give you a demo of what this sounds like. This sounds very lush, very airy, and high quality. It's very detailed, and I love the transitions between velocities or between dynamics. You don't get that tapering sound. It's just really smooth. So I'm gonna control that velocity. By the way, the velocity or the dynamic level is being controlled by my foot pedal, so you can't see that on the camera. But I'm basically pushing the pedal forward like that, and as I push it down, it gets louder. As I pull back, it gets softer. So I'm gonna show that to you again. That is so smooth. By the way, you can see the division of these different sections in the key bed. So we have the basses down here, and then it starts blending into the cellos, then the violas, and then the violins, which take up a large space. High ultrasound. Okay, let's hear some other articulations. If I use any sample loop or patches to create a music or make any BGM for film or any video or audio, that will be the copyright issue. No, you have to. So it depends on the company. Tutor. Some companies have different policies, so you need to read the agreement. No, you shouldn't have an issue, but I would look up the user agreement. So anyway, back to this. You can. What I love about this is you can change your articulation, put it anywhere you want, and you can change the key switch. So right now it's set to C-1, which is out of the range for this, but you can set it to these higher notes if you want. That way, if you wanted to, you could change it during a performance or with your physical keyboard. And let's listen to some other articulations. Now they have your basic ones like legato or tremolo, but then they have some more uncommon ones like diminuendo. I like this one. Let's hear it. So diminuendo means that it's getting quieter. And then let's hear another one. Fall fast. Slide fast up. Pretty cool. Pizzicato. Let me know if you can hear my voice. All right, so aside from having great sounds, what really impressed me about this is the level of control and the simplicity. Though having those things together makes a really great plugin. So right here, you can see where the instruments sort of end or they blend into the other one. You can extend that range or diminish it. It's all up to you. So you're going to hear less of the bass if I slide, or more of the bass, more of the cello, or more of the viola. So you have different modes, and I'm going to get into these last two right here, rhythm animator and phrase animator, which are incredible. You also have different sound characteristics. So you have themes here, or like orchestral, just choose it and it immediately changes the EQ, the style. I'll get into some other ones right now, but when you have the ensemble loaded, you can click one and you can turn those off. You can turn both of them off. You can leave one, so make the sound a little bit thinner. You can do the same for these other ones right here. So I like that option. Up here on the top right corner, you have something called Smart Voice Split. Now, one of the problems with sample libraries is like, let's say you have a sample that says this is 16 violin players. Yeah, when you hit one note, you're gonna hear 16 violin players playing that one note. But when you play multiple notes, then you get 32, then what is it, 48? My math might be wrong. 32, I'm embarrassing myself. 16, 32, 48. I think I'm right. So my point is that the number of musicians keeps multiplying and multiplying, and you get an unrealistic sound. While Smart Voice Split detects how many fingers you're using and where your fingers are placed, and automatically divides the number of players, so you get the same texture of sound. So here I have one, and all of my musicians are playing. Now there is something about that sounds a little choppy, or kind of like you hear this little divide in the chords. But I think those things can be adjusted in the attack and in the release settings. So that's Smart Voice Split. Another thing it has is Smart Chord. So you choose your key. So your root key. And then it has 4 memory banks, which are key switchable. And you can set whether that's in major, minor, Dorian, dominant, melodic minor, or harmonic minor. So right now it's set to major key. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a chord, which is going to have different registers as well. So it changes the note priority. So here's a C major chord being played by the ensemble. Here's a higher register C. F major. This is F major. Now this is also, you can also control the dynamic of this. So I have my pedal down. I want to see if you can play let's say staccato with this. So I'm going to go back into my main menu and then go back into this. That is amazing. Now up here in the black keys we have descriptions rather than chord qualities. It's a description of the chord. So warm, depth, crunch, cinematic, tension. So let's hear those. And you can also choose the chord voicing. So instead of having it wide, you can have them close to each other. Let's hear the minor. I'm going to change it back to sustain. So you have a possibility of many combinations of chords. So I think you can pretty much achieve all the chords that you need. If you're creating like a pad sound where the strings are just providing that that drone, playing something simple, that this is a great feature. I think it's absolutely beautiful. All right, let's get out of that. So in the mixer window, you can adjust the level of reverb for each channel, each instrument and section. The delay, the panning, whether you wanted muted or soloed, the volume. You can detune a certain instrument, that way you get more richness in sound. You can transpose the instrument. This is a lot of control. You have a compression and EQ. Over here in the effects menu, you have your envelope shaper. So you have your attack and sustain and release. So if let's raise the release. That way you get that lush. Release volume, bow noise. So it gives you a little bit more air sound in it. Stereo width. Now this is really cool. Humanize. So what Humanize does is that when a real string player begins to play a note, sometimes that note is out of tune for just a split second, and then they have time to adjust their finger to get it in the right pitch. When you have a group of musicians playing at the same time, they're listening to one another, so they make quick adjustments. And what Humanize does is that rather than having the note hit perfectly right at the beginning, which is unrealistic, it makes some of the notes out of tune initially, and then they get in tune after a split second. So let me show you how that works. So right now the note's in tune immediately. When I raise it all the way up, you're going to hear it out of tune. Hold on just a second. So this should be working right now. That actually sounds pretty much in tune. You'll hear it right now with some of the presets on. I'll get back to this. So you have your compression, EQ, 3-band EQ. You have very beautiful reverb. I think it's convolution reverb. Might be wrong. And then your delay. See, these are basic effects, but one of the coolest ones is color. So when you add color, you can start adding some strange effects. So I'll give you an example. Where is it? In the drama preset, it adds one called abstract. So you have 5 different settings right here, and then within those you have different settings as well. So this one is where you're really gonna hear the detuned. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why you can't see the cursor. I'm using OBS, and for some reason it gets rid of the cursor. So there you can you see it right there? It appears whenever I shake my mouse. All right, so let's hear this. So do you hear how the strings sound very out of tune, and then all of a sudden they get in line with each other? So let me turn off this abstract and you'll hear the Humanize. There you go. That's out of tune. All right, let's listen to some other presets, and then we'll go on to the next feature. Let's see. Vintage strings. I wonder what that sounds like. Okay. Let's close this. Now, another feature they have is called Rhythm Animator. And in Rhythm Animator, you can set certain patterns to different keys and switch those so that if you want like a staccato effect, so I'm going to choose this first pattern. Then you can switch to the next one. All right, so I've seen that before in other libraries, so that's not that impressive. What is impressive is your ability to mix in different articulations. Like right now, this grid right here shows me the hits that it's going to give, and these are the ones that are activated right now. You can change the volume of these very easily just by sliding them. So I'm going to accent that first one. But the cool thing is that you can choose different articulations for each individual hit. So for example, if I wanted a tremolo on one of them, I can simply drag up until I see that highlighted. You can also make these patterns shorter. My mouse is right here. You can make these patterns shorter by dragging this arrow left or right. You can set it to quarter note, 8 notes, 16, 30 seconds, and each of those you can make them triplets. So this is very useful. Yeah, somebody mentioned Game of Thrones. It does kind of sound like that. It's very cool. You can set it to 32 steps. You can browse through the patterns. They have many different patterns, and you can select categories so you can see the list of them. I love categories because it helps you find the sound that you're looking for. You can also change your menu right here. So here's a pizzicato. You can hold it. And the good thing about holding it, the reason for holding it, I should say, is so that you can start adjusting this while auditioning it. All right, let's go into the next mode, which is phrase animator, and this is probably one of the most inspiring of this. If you're not familiar with strings, or you want some inspiration, or even want to use some of these phrases in your composition, this is a great feature to have. So they have all these phrases in here, which you can access. You can they have categories so that you could listen to them, like melodic, rhythmic, simple, complex, pad, progression, or they have it by song. So let's listen to this. So you can also play chords in this. This is a very intelligent program. Let's hear some more. I don't really like that one. So let's listen to a pad. That sounds pretty rhythmic to me, I would say. I want something simple, so I want a simple pad, and then it's going to filter those. One more. All right, some chords don't work well with that. I think it works better with either major or minor chord. All right, let's go back to the main page. Actually, I'm going to close this window and I'm going to go to the individual instruments. So right now I'm picking violin. Key switch. Let's listen to the legato of this. By the way, there's two violins and you can have one violin playing. I forgot, this is not a solo violin, this is a section. Let's listen to both. Forgot to mention that the pitch wheel controls fall and the rise of these. It's pretty interesting. And I like that the lowest note is actually the lowest note on the violin. I hate libraries that resample so that they allow you to play on keys that are outside of the register of that instrument. If I want an orchestral library, I want it to be samples of the real notes, not resamples. Okay, let's listen to some more sounds. Trill, semi. And then I want to listen to the cello. So these are big files. By the way, I forgot to mention the system requirements of this. You need Contact, either the free player or the full version. So that's good if you don't have the full version. This is a huge library. The download, I think, is 36 gigabytes, but uncompressed, it's almost 70 gigabytes. So you need that much space in your on your storage device. However, it doesn't take up that much RAM, as you might think. Right now, I'm only using 419 megabytes for the cellos. And that can be reduced by either purging or taking off samples, taking off articulations. So as I said, this is an incredible library. There's so many features and there's so much control. I can't wait to start making music with this. It just sounds beautiful. It sounds. What I like about the instruments that you can find in Native Instruments is that they sound mix ready. They sound like you can just put them on an album or on a film score and they're ready. You don't have to tweak them that much. They just sound beautiful right out of the box. By the way, this is made by E Instruments, so they made it in partnership with Native Instruments. Friends, thank you for watching this live stream. If there's another library that you want me to review, please leave it in the comments. Let me know. If I have that, if I own it, I will try to get to it. I promise. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so. Hit that like button if you like this, and share it. And also look in the description and check out my Virtual Musician Academy. It's at 50% off until July 15th. So it's going live in a week from today, actually. That's crazy. And members get 50% off, or 50% off until then. And you get discounts on five different companies, I think. Ample Sound, Music Lab, Audio Modeling, IK Multimedia, and there's another one. Oh yeah, Orange Tree Samples, I forgot. And I'm emailing many different companies, asking them if they will join me, and so far everybody's saying yes, so that's exciting. So anyway, I'll see you later. Thanks for joining me. Take care.